As President Obama said during a visit to Ghana, and I quote, he said, "Africa does not need strong men. It needs strong institutions." We must build our democratic institutions to be independent and efficient. Parliament and the judiciary must work independently in the public interest. Leaders must respect their oath of office to respect the Constitution. In our sub-region of West Africa, democracy is backsliding with a return to military dictatorships. Ghana is, however, on a mission to prove that democracy works and that our people can achieve prosperity and opportunity under a constitutional democracy.
Support from Southern Province. But some people, they have given up. When I go to Southern Province, now if someone from Southern Province can give up, are you telling me that someone from Osaka and Chingola can still love him? When you yourself who started loving him before these other provinces started loving him, you've given up. Some of them have, like me, have stopped loving him. Me and my family and other people, we've stopped loving him. Now you think if we can give up, I'm also Tonga, because when I'm Tonga, no Tonga, many Tonga were full time of Dara. But I have given up on supporting Hagainde because of my own reasons. So you think the reasons that the other people have for giving up on supporting Hagainde are not valid, such that the other people from other provinces, they cannot buy them. Let us learn to analyze politics. You must realize to say, Mudara, an election can be very disappointing. Ask the people of Kenya. Ask the people of Kenya. The person that won as a president, so let us be very careful as we talk. And let us be exposed. Not to get the levels of Southern Province, we get the Muyenda Momons, Mokala, now and because that village supports Hagainde, you think now everyone else to support him. That is non-exposure. Let us be exposed. Why is it that people fail to deliver? They fail to deliver when the head is not functioning very well. If the head is not functioning, now training, you can't expect the trailers to start moving. These mayors, these MPs and councillors who are not performing, it's because Hagainde himself is a failure. Let us just face the reality. If Mr. Hijirema was not a failure, he was going to, because he is aware that in Mazabuka, because the other time he was talking about roads, particularly about Mazabuka, he is aware that there is nothing going on in Mazabuka and he is quiet. It means that is how the work culture is. It's like Barry now is an entertainer who knows how to speak, entertaining people. No, he just entertains people through his speeches. But when it comes to delivering, he is not there. So we should just accept that fact. So those that are saying, the councillor must go, the Hagainde must continue. Do you know where the money comes from? When we talk about infrastructure development, the money comes from central government. Now they said, CDF, and this CDF comes with guidelines. They may release money, and the money that will be released will come with guidelines on how it will be spent. And you can't expect the councillor or an MOP or the mayor to just go against the instructions that will come from the ministry. No, and that ministry receives instructions directly from the president. So the failures we are seeing now, and even the same money for CDF, there is one about 2 times, 3 times. And yet they have kept on increasing money. We've increased the money from this figure to another figure. But they don't release those money. Go and find out who can. So how many times CDF Nyagas were where? You will be surprised that yes, the figures have been increased and people have been jumping up and down like toddlers. But there is nothing that is coming out. Bagalonga. So those are the things that we are talking about. Let us not be overexcited like a toddler that has been overfed with milk. No. Let us sit down and analyze these things. We don't just have to do things like so this failure is not for the MOP. The failure is not for the mayor. The failure is because Haga in there told us that Kamubika Chen or not in it or
na kwata problem no bungo bukabwalala alabaleiba Valeiba. Abaleiba. No, be very clear.
I mean, there's ACC following. There's ACC following you. I mean, there's ACC following you, right?
But they can't kind of ACC. You know why?
Yeah, but you have.
Listen.
I've
been to ACC. I've been to police. I've been to DEC. I've been to OP. I've been everywhere talking about this.
Yeah.
On my Facebook page, I've been tagging the president, and that's my nature. I tag the president. Mr. President, come and say. $1 Central America CDF. I talked about it. I tagged. They threatened me at lunch. So I told my lawyer, be ready.
What happened with that? What happened with that story? It ended.
In other constituencies, let me tell you what they've done. Next, when we come to discuss CDF, okay? Nangolo tukala bekata. Ofo vachita. Kwa libati bakaliati bapanga cooperative babika mwabana.
Exception from 2021, I know. The time our government increased the disbursement and the amount of CDF in each constituency, what development committees, CDF committees have been submitting projects. And I know that projects submitted in each year are fully budgeted for. But Chairman, is it true that all the projects that our communities, our development committees, the PDCC has been submitting, been done? If not, have we done an audit? Just recently I was going through from the list and number of projects that we are supposed to be implemented, like in our own districts, but which are not. Do we have the money meant for such projects? Who are the enforcers to counter-check on these councils? We've just noticed that when it comes to procurement of vehicles, workshops, travelings, school for our employees, it is done there and then. When it comes to just implementation of community projects, up to date with projects which were approved in 2021, if you just do a thorough investigation, you find that most of the projects in these constituencies have not been done, even regardless of them being funded and budgeted for. Who are the reinforcers to check on these councils? There's too much mismanagement in our councils. I think this is the right time that we need to speak as a people of Northwestern. Our only hope as a people of Northwestern is in this government, the UPN. And I'll be straight on point. There will be no any other government where I will complain to say, I think here we need a road, here we need a better school, because they will tell us to say, you had your own son, you had your own cousin, who was a president. Why didn't you complain? Colleagues, help us to manage these resources diligently, according to the expectation of the people. Look at the quality. We are busy here talking about schools and desks. Look at the quality. Among the desks that you procured, how many are still functioning? Who controls the quality? Who does the quality control? At provincial, at district. Who does the quality control? Are you happy that, are you sure these schools we've seen around here, around the country, let me specifically talk about Northwestern, are they going to stand for a good test of time? Like we saw those which were done during the Kaunda era. Who does the quality control? What are these engineers employed in our councils doing? Schools are already cracking even before you want it over. But we are proud of talking about it. Are we scared to just reject and say we are not going to commission this infrastructure because of the poor quality? What's happening is unacceptable. I think we can still do better as councils because the mandate given to you, the trust that the president has given is just too huge. Can you imagine we continue putting the blame on the presidents? We continue putting the blame on the government. Look at some of the responses from our technocrats this afternoon. When you are even part of of those people who cry the loudest, have you done this? The answers were negative. Do we want the president to come and tell us what to do, or these people on this high table to tell us what to do? And Tanajam, this is one Zambia, one nation, regardless of where you come from. Did you manina to carry the quality control? Even the chief's palaces, have you got there?
Good day and welcome to today's broadcast, Sunday, the 8th of February 2026, a few months, barely a few months before elections. In the next 90 days, we'll have nominations of presidential candidates filing in their nominations. There is currently an electoral process bill of 2026 that is seeking to amend the where we conduct our elections. I think it's a very important bill and many people have not paid attention to it. I'll urge you that we find time, I think, even to discuss it, to see what it is providing for. There are a lot of concerns in that electoral process bill. At the casual look at it, I've already highlighted some serious concerns. For example, that all certificates must be signed by the Secretary General of the party, from the President to the Member of Parliament to the Council Chairperson and Councillor, should be signed by the Secretary General. In the past, any member could sign, but we saw it being introduced in 2024 when Mwangala Zalomis targeted the Patriotic Front. She ensured and brought that as a regulation. Now they are going to codify it in the Electoral Process Amendment Bill of 2026. So how you submit the list of candidates, the Secretary General have to sign. Lo and behold, I hope nothing happens to the Secretary General a week before elections, because the next line says this Secretary General must be the one that appears before the office bearers, before the registrar of societies. So imagine before 1 week you suspect that your Secretary General is undermining you, is misbehaving, or has been bought, and you decide to take administrative action and remove him. Your nomination papers will not be accepted by ECZ, because those nomination papers have to be signed by the Secretary General, who is listed, meaning the name, not the office, who is listed at the Registrar of Societies. The Electoral Process Bill is also proposing to define the campaign period, when nominations will take place, and filing of vacancies in by-elections. It is also placing responsibilities to political parties and is providing for electoral offences. The ECZ says this bill is very important to amend to respond to the amendments that have been made by recent constitutional amendments. Number 13, Bill 7, number 13 of 2025. That will require a program, but for you, I would urge that you begin to pay attention to all these things that are going. There's another clause that I'm worried about, where they say as soon as you vote, you leave the polling stations. You should not be anywhere near there. That is a proper provision if, for example, your party agents and election observer missions are present. If they are not present, as we've seen in the recent by-elections in Kawambwa, in Pambashe, in Mwense, in Kwacha, in Kabushi, in Lumezi, in Mfue, you have a problem, because in these areas, the UPND have been very active to disperse party agents, including political party, including independent observers. We noticed this in these by-elections, and only UPND and the ECZ remain. And then you must have seen those the forms Gen 20, where it's only signed by Zanis, UPND, and ECZ, and no opposition or independent observer has signed that. So with that provision also, it raises a lot of concerns. Today, I've got a man that you know, a veteran politician, Prince Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika, is expected to join me. Let me check in the studio if he has arrived. He has not arrived yet in the studio, but I'm hosting him. We are discussing opposition unity. Is it possible? Is it possible to unite the opposition? He himself has been engaged in trying to unify the opposition. He argues that we need a unified opposition. The fragmented one doesn't help, and he needs a team to help form a government that should be presented to you and help form a government. He's encouraging the opposition. As a senior leader, as a member of the Council of Elders, is encouraging opposition parties to move beyond personal attacks and to begin to craft policies, at least common policies that can bring them together. Woaka is a very respected figure. He's a founder of the MMD. You remember him and Derek Chitala at the time, Mbita Chitala, convened the famous garden meeting that proceeded to, introduce multi-party democracy in Zambia. And him and Derek were part of the first cabinet under Dr. Frederick Chiluba. The momentous occasion there was that we were a one-party state, and the bravery and courage of Aka ensured that he gathered those stakeholders together, and they then began to chart a campaign for Zambia to return to multi-party politics. And when we did, he formed the movement for multi-party democracy that participated head-to-head with UNIP and beat UNIP in that election, and their candidate, Frederick Chiluba, won by over 76%. Frederick Chiluba won the entire country except Eastern Province, where 25 MPs voted for the UNIP government, but the rest of the entire country voted for MMD. Hence the changes you saw that fostered democracy in 1991. We have Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika is having a second bite at the cherry. We want to understand his role in bringing the opposition together. Are even the opposition amenable to being brought together? The conference that is planning, will they participate in that conference? We've seen some candidates pull out of this process. Others are saying they will not participate. There's a lot of suspicions, mistrust, and ACA and the Council of Elders are trying to bring credibility to the process. Because remember, there was a role that was being played by the late president, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. In 2022, he began to bring the opposition together. We saw the first 11 political parties have the first press conference chaired by Tshala Kateka, and there were an array of political parties, including Fred Membe's Socialist Party and Winter Kabimba's Economic Party. It was Rainbow at the time. And there were subsequent press conferences that resulted in the birth of the United Kwacha Alliance. United Kwacha Alliance met turbulent times. Tonse Alliance was formed. And when United Kwacha Alliance, UKA, was formed, there was an initiative that was being pioneered by Muhavi Lungu, the Zambia We Want. That coalition ended up into a registered political party. Again, many stakeholders fell out because the coalition of opposition voices came back into a political party. There are many other initiatives. The United Front. This was now an attempt after UKA was battling for life and Tonse was born. United Front was born to try to bring forces from both UKA and Tonse and bring them under the umbrella of the United opposition front. That also fell off. They couldn't agree on the parameters of getting a flag bearer, and they hadn't attracted enough numbers. Now we have another initiative, the People's Coalition, that is being pioneered by other people that have incorporated the Socialist Party. And then there is ACA's Council of Elders process. So we have an array of initiatives trying to bring the opposition together. So today, we are understanding what Woaka Prince Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika, veteran politician, is doing. And we started the broadcast late because he requested that I can see he's in the studio already, which is very, very good. Let me just bring to the fore Woaka, and I hope that volume and everything is okay. Woaka,
thank you very, very much.
Welcome to today's broadcast.
You are an expert at getting my volume right by annoying me at the right time. Then the voice comes out.
Thank you very much. I'm glad that you're able to make it. I know you're out of town. You couldn't make it to our studio, but I think you are perfect so far. I've just been doing the introductions, Woaka, that there have been many initiatives trying to bring the opposition together. One of them was the United Kwacha Alliance, with Bosco Tawina. It fell apart. There was Tonse Alliance. It's in two divisions. There was the Zambia We Want, which morphed into a political party. And there's now an initiative that is being done by colleagues that in People's Front that have brought at the center Fred Membe, and they've adopted him as a presidential candidate. Your initiative appears different because it has brought a collection of senior citizens, veteran politicians like yourself, and you're trying to bring the opposition together. Walk us through the journey. What is this initiative? What are you calling it? And what are you trying to achieve?
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. I listened to the tail end of your narrative on the history. It's very important. What the question that it raises is that why have we repeatedly found ourselves seeking collectivizing leadership and uniting forces? It does not just start now on the watch of UPND. There was one newspaper article by my colleague Winter Lemba, which accused me of having no influence because in 2001, him and myself and others were involved in the same exercise. Which is true, that in 2001, United National Independence Party, National Party, Agenda for Zambia, Social Democratic Party by Ms. Connie, Dean Mungomba, ZAP. It was a collection of, and UPND under Mazoka, by the way, it was a collection of 8 political parties. Reaching the same conclusion we have reached, that the country is in a position of having a collection of problems that challenge us to reset the country, and that challenge us to unite all those who believe in that change agenda, so that we stand the best chance of winning over a government administration which had not changed much from the one-party state. We are, apart from allowing for multi-party elections, the bulk of our constitution was still the one-party state. So the government had a personalized leadership. It had forces which made the single-party dominance the rule rather than the exception. And therefore, if that government administration with all those powers inherited from the one-party state decided to oppose any change, the only way you could overcome it is by uniting all the forces that believe in that change. And So in 2001, we tried that. And it has many lessons for the exercise we are carrying out now. What I noticed in that exercise, I was not a party president, but I was national secretary of one of the parties and very key in making the arrangement, more or less the same role I'm playing now. What was interesting, which I take from that, was that when we discussed the challenges facing the country, everybody agreed. When we discussed the direction of solutions, everybody agreed. When we discussed the constitution of this collective of cross-party, everybody agrees. But as they agreed, I noticed that the attention they were giving to those issues they were agreeing to was very minimal. But when it came to the last issue of how to choose the presidential candidate, everybody attended and everybody was awake, everybody was attentive. So in 2001, we did reach that point. And the same sort of debates going on. How do you choose the candidate from a multi-party alliance, so to speak? And I came up with a very simplistic way about it. So since there are 8 of you leaders of political parties who are keen to be presidential candidates, let's have an electoral college made up of just you 8. I propose to make arrangement where each candidate will have 2 votes, but it was designed in such a way that you couldn't vote for the same person, even yourself, twice. So this seemed to be a simple way of having a fair election, and they agreed. But unfortunately, I fell for the suggestion that it shouldn't be done that day. It should be done the day after, the following day. So meanwhile, this day that was in between the decision and the implementation, one of the key candidates who looked like the strongest, I won't mention their name, decided to approach some of his competitors. He approached one first, assured them that he was very good at delegation. So if they agreed to be his vice president, they'll be busy. Secondly, that given the age difference, he'll be prepared to be a one-term president. The person who was approached agreed to that proposition. Unfortunately, the gentleman was not satisfied with that. He approached another one, told him the same story. His misfortune was that the second person he told the story was so excited and was so close to the first person he had approached that he revealed it. And then together they realized that they were being approached on the same program. They were being had. So when we met to elect, I took out the ballot. Then one of the 2 who had been approached says, we can't proceed because we are not being honest, and revealed the whole story. That's how in 2001, we failed to have a united front of the people who were claiming to want a change. So that is a lesson that even now, our so-called leaders have shown more concern for who is the presidential candidate or vice presidential candidate than for what is the program that they intend to, how will they work together, what would be their manifesto. So this is the challenge we have had all along, and therefore it's not new, but one hopes that we are about to go to the 8th opportunity for us to utilize the election as a key to resetting the country's political constitutional regime and economic system. It is my plea that, having been approached by some of the ones you call the opposition parties, some of the senior citizens decided that we should meet them all, which we did, and we have met many of them. Aging unity, which they all agreed they wanted. Aging focus on a minimum program, which they all agreed they wanted. And so we've been moving along these lines. And but we took a lot of time trying to reach out to those who are not coming forward. We reached out to almost everybody who is who in this sphere.
Yeah, thank you, Boaka. Before you go any further, I noticed two issues. Number one, criticism from the state, from government, where the Permanent Secretary for Information and Media, Tabo Kawana, condemned your initiative. He stated that, in their view, you should be a council of elders for all political parties, including the UPND and this alliance. And they wanted you to be a council of elders, not a council of elders for the opposition. That's number one. Number two, what is the state of the country, in your view, for you seniors to come out of retirement, to come out of your comfort zone, to come and take this high political stake to attempt to restore, reclaim the country? What, in your view, what is the state of the country? So you may take us first. Number one, where government felt that you are being a council of elders for the opposition. Number two, what has brought you out of retirement to come and help rescue the country?
I think it's a very... I received that report. One, we are not a council of elders for the opposition. I don't even like the idea of this term opposition, because we must ask the question, those who are said to be opposition or who say they are opposition, they are opposed to what? Apart from being opposed to something, what are they for? And our effort is a cross-party outreach for people who believe and are committed or can commit themselves to real radical democracy and development change, particularly change from this personalized leadership, over-centralized government, change from single-party dominance, change from discriminatory administration, where at any given time, some people in the country feel they are being discriminated against in terms of positions in the cabinet, position in the ministries, position in the diplomatic service, and in terms of public service delivery. So all those who believe in that are invited to unite. If some of those belong to UPND, they are welcome. Secondly, we have sought to engage those who invited us to engage with them. And if we were to receive an invitation from UPND that they want to engage us, we'll have to consider it. But it has to be based on some program. I should say that when we mobilized against one-party state at Garden House, we did actually, everybody was UNIP. So we did even invite people in the research bureau of UNIP. And because we knew certain individuals who were democratic, and they came, others didn't come. So we are not we are not opposed to anything. We are for something. We are for real radical change and of addressing the problems that have dogged this country for many, many years. And some of these problems, weaknesses of governance, have dogged us even in the years before independence. And each time we have had an election, there has been a promise that there would be change. In 2021, there was a promise that there would be change. Now we notice towards the end of that 5 years period, the UPND was given a mandate for. The same problems that were there in 2021, the problem of manipulating the constitution, the problems of people feeling that they are victims of tribalism, the problem of unequal development, the problem of unequal public service delivery, the problem of overreach by the executive undermining the overseeing function of parliament, overreach by the executive undermining the independence of the judiciary. All these and many other problems that existed in 2021 that should have been the obvious focus of change are still with us. So that change has failed. But if the UPND, contrary to its record over the last 4.5 years, also wants to join the crusade against personalized government, against the single party dominance and all these other problems we are having, they are welcome. But I should also say that being non-partisan is like being non-aligned. It does not mean neutrality between justice and injustice. It doesn't mean that if you are non-aligned, if the Americans start bombing Vietnam, you can't oppose it because you are non-aligned. It does not mean that if I am non-partisan, even if a party says something wrong, I should not point it out. In any case, I personally and many of us are on record of having criticized all the various past administration over the same issues, so that our stand against undemocratic tendencies, our stand against corruption, our stand against tribalism is a non-partisan stand. But those parties that believe in those things will find themselves feeling as if they are being attacked. What we are attacking is the behavior, and we will attack it regardless of which party exhibits that behavior. You
Wonderful.
are asking how
has been
we came out of
with the work you've put in.
We were basically asked. We were basically
sorry,
asked.
Sorry, Boaka. What has been the response? You've engaged nearly every presidential candidate, either those that are in Patriotic Front, those that are outside Patriotic Front, the entire area of opposition. You have engaged them. What has been the response? And tell us about the conference that you've arranged that should be coming up next week. What does it intend to do? Is it going to pick a flag bearer? Are you bringing them for a policy discussion? What is the purpose of that conference?
Yes, yes, you are right. We've engaged almost anybody who was available. And I could say that we have engaged to all the people we have heard of as being candidates, potential candidates for the presidency, who were in the PF, except yourself and one gentleman in South Africa. We have engaged Citizens First twice. We've engaged the Socialist Party more than that on their own, and in a group of an alliance they were in at one time. We've engaged various alliances and individual parties. By and large, they have indicated that they recognize that if the task on hand is to do more than just change the person of the president, is to do more than just change the name of the ruling party, if the task at hand is to bring fundamental change, no single one of them as a person or as a party can be assured of winning that fight. And that we are better off, they are all basically agreed, we are better off uniting. The only question after all these discussions is the same realization that came in 2001. That those who are purely interested in changing the person of the president, and replacing him with themselves, if that is all their objective, then the agenda that we are driving together with the other party leaders does not fit them. So we are under no delusion that everybody will fit in, or everybody will want to fit in, because the conditions for the program we have undertaken is, one, that we ourselves, who are facilitators of this dialogue and this process, particularly after the meeting we had on the 16th of January, resolved that we should constitute a National Conference Planning Committee. And I was elected to chair that with Dr. Mbikusita as my co-chairman. We, the two of us, before we even began the first meeting, we assured the rest of the committee that we ourselves, the two of us, have no intention, we are not available to stand for any political elective position, so that it is not in our personal interest that we are saving, we are facilitating. Since in the planning you have to involve some of the would-be actors, they were not required to say they are not interested in being candidates, but they were asked whether or not they would remain part of the team even if they are not the elected presidential or vice president committee. Those who've been attending the planning meeting have pledged that they will abide by that they will remain part of the team even if they are not selected. We can't say much about those who have been involved in this engagement, but who have not come forward to the meeting that took place on the 16th, and despite our repeated invitation, have not come on board with the planning committee. But we are still reaching out to them to come in and participate, even in opposition to what is being proposed on the table, so that ultimately, if it is possible to have an agreement of a united leadership team with a united minimum program, with an agreement to campaign together, with an agreement to form a government of national unity specifically geared at addressing these overriding long-standing problems of the country once and for all. They are welcome. They are still welcome. They will be even welcome on the day the meeting starts. So we are reaching out, but we are not naive to assume that everybody will come. And we are not naive that everybody who comes would agree to the same conditions, which are the essential condition for a real united front. We are also aware that what we are asking for is a tall order. It's a big challenge. It's a mindset changer. To change from looking for a messiah to seeking leadership of a more collective nature, of a team-spirited nature. These days, I'm repeating it often, but I think it's important to know that where we are coming from, the founding Northern Rhodesia African Congress had two slogans: one man, one vote, and leadership through team spirit. And in the early days of the Congress, they met and led the country with team spirit. That team spirit was lost from somewhere in the mid-50s, completely absent since independence. So part of what we are calling off, which is a tall order, is a restoration of faith in collective leadership rather than faith in personalized leadership, which has failed the country over and over again and led us to 7 times of changing governments and presidents without changing the system of governance or the economic system.
Thank you very much. I saw a nice picture of you wearing Ground Zero 2026 Fourth Republic. It shows that, like you are saying, you're looking for team spirit, but you're also looking for fundamental programs that should be adopted. What economic, social, political, or constitutional programs do you want this team of leaders you are trying to put together to adopt as minimum standards?
Well, first, before adopting, to consider thoroughly, so that they are the decision makers and they will adopt what they've agreed. But the sort of logically, each time we have had a constitution, a new constitution or an amended constitution, there have been always some complainants, some people who felt that it wasn't done the right way. The logical thing is to retrace all these complaints against all the changes in the constitution that have been made and see whether we can't logically come up with a process of coming up with a people-driven constitution which answers and addresses all these complaints. If there have been complaints that the president keeps setting terms of reference, I don't think it's impossible to have a constitutional process that starts without the president setting up the terms of reference. If there have been complaints that the cabinet and the president have a veto over the report, I don't think it is impossible to come up with a process that addresses that and avoids that. Avoiding all the complaints would be part of the logical state setting that is required for a constitution whose end result would be truly win-win, with no losers, no victims, no over-advantaged people, no over-disadvantaged people. Secondly, our criticism of the way the constitution has been changed, even in the latter days, has been the selective nature of changing the constitution. You remember that in 20 whatever it was, there was Bill 10. And the criticism was that it is selective, it's executive driven, it's partisan. And then we had the same repeat in Bill 7. So it is possible for us to say that let's stop the habit of piecemeal selective constitutional changes. Let's have a comprehensive constitutional review. Secondly, the other area of consideration related to this personalized leadership and this single party dominance is power sharing. Clearly, the constitution needs to be strengthened further than it goes now in terms of ensuring the independence of the judiciary, in terms of facilitating the independent overseeing function of parliament, in terms of having a professional civil service which serves the government of the day but does not become an agent of a ruling party. Then there is need for power sharing, which creates a genuine local government. These district councils are not separate from central government. They are superintended over by the Minister of Labor. Even when they give CDF, the central government decides that you should use this CDF for desks, so that the powers, we need a constitution that revisits the division and separation of powers between the central government and the local government. Real separation, financial, political decision-making in terms of functions. I should say that in Humanism Part 2, there is actually a chapter where the author, President Kaunda, actually lists the ministries that when we genuinely decentralize will have to be taken from central government to local government. So this idea of moving towards genuine separation of power has been there, but has not been addressed honestly and effectively. So the constitutional changes should do that. Then we are in a situation where our traditional authorities, the indigenous African governments, which have survived colonialism, are less powerful, less engaged in governance after independence than they were even during colonial days. Meanwhile, they were the ones whom colonialism disempowered. So that we do need to revisit the constitution to ensure separation of power between the so-called modern structures of government and our indigenous African government. And that is one. Then there's this question of the constitution. As I've said, the process itself can be revisited. The end product is what we are calling the fourth Republican constitution. Because when we became independent, we had a Republican constitution that is regarded as the first Republican constitution. When the one-party state was introduced with the constitution, the one-state constitution was the second Republican constitution. When we reverted back to multipartyism, we had a new constitution. It was the third Republican constitution. We had all these constitutional regimes have left a lot of fundamentals, the ones I've discussed, unaddressed conclusively and satisfactorily. So if we address, come up with a fourth Republican constitution, and this will be the embedment of the radical governance change of system that I hope the National Conference will consider and decide upon and adopt what they decide upon and commit themselves to be one of the areas in which the post 13th August 2026 election period would witness a new government that will put priority on that.
Recently, I hosted your young brother, John Sangwa, and he said opposition unity, despite the keenness and willingness of all participants to have a united opposition, is quite difficult because there is no legal framework. He bemoaned that, for example, the proposed amendments in the political parties bill, which should have provided for either a coalition government and also terms and references for MOUs when signed by political alliances, that they can be enforceable because they are registered with the registrar of political parties. He says lack of a legal framework reduces opposition unity to mere gentleman's agreement, and in many cases the players are not gentlemen at all, so they can quickly dishonor the agreement. In 1991, there was no legal framework, but you relied on the goodwill and on the recognition of the national crisis the country faced. Do you think the same environment, lack of legal framework, can help the opposition come together, especially that even if they hammer out some political alliances, it can be adhered to? And the bad example is that of UPND. It went into government with an alliance and didn't even bother to honor it. Picked one or two persons in Felix Mtati and Charles, the Minister of Infrastructure, and maybe spokesperson Thabo Kawana, and that's it. No program, no discernible program for the opposition alliance. Do you see the lack of legal framework as one of the reasons why it has been difficult to bring the opposition together?
Comrade John is right. Basically, what he's saying is that we have a problem situation, but we have to solve the problem from where we are. In other words, we can't say we wait until the legal framework is created. Instead, we must resolve that the next government that is elected is committed to a comprehensive constitutional restructuring, which could include considering all those good things that Comrade John is talking about. They can only be included in the process of remaking the constitution. So we have no choice but to start working from an environment that is different from the environment we are trying to create. We oppose the one-party state within the one-party state structures. That of course, gave a lot of constraints and challenges to us, but we dared to do that under the circumstances which we knew were not ideal. To bring about multi-party situation from a one-party state is not an ideal condition. Even now, we are not in an ideal condition. But surely, we should not give up. In other words, we can't, because if we don't change the constitution, who will? It will not be changed by the government administration that is satisfied with the way things are now. It has to be changed by people who are not satisfied. And our message is that those who are not satisfied stand a better chance, create a better chance for going forward in the direction they desire if they are united as much as possible. Despite the realism that not everybody will be united, not everybody will come along, but the hope that a sufficient number of political parties and political leaders will be able to think more of the country and the future than the present and themselves to do this. So far, the signals are encouraging. They are not easy. As I say, it's a drastic mind change we are requiring of leaders. It's a drastic mindset we are even requiring of the voters. They are used to repeatedly, however ridiculous it is, elect people purporting to be able to provide messianic solutions to the country. Despite the fact that they've failed so many times, people still think that that is normal and there's no alternative. So we are fighting against that self-imprisonment of assuming that the present is normal and cannot be changed except after it is changed. But to realize that whatever change we want has to be done by us. And that is what we are aiming to have. And we would need people like Comrade John, who is, in fact, his statement, which you have reported, clearly shows that he looks at things from a legal and legalistic manner, which is also good and is required on board. If he's part of a team of others who he may think are dreamers, I think it was Bob Kennedy who said some people ask him why he's talking about things that amount to dreams. He said, why not? We have to dream. The change we want does not exist now. So it is something that exists in our mind that we should translate into action. And it is not that it has never been done. We moved to independence from a colonial situation which was not conducive, was not ideal for making those changes. And people died, people went to jail, people sacrificed. The same with the one-party state and the others. So that in the end, we have to have people who are prepared to sacrifice, to dare the reality in order to get a new reality to replace it.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Dear viewers, we'll be opening the phone lines. We are hosting veteran politician Prince Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika. He was instrumental in ushering in multi-party democracy in Zambia in in 1991. And he's playing a key role with another group of senior members of our society where they're trying to bring the opposition together. They have a conference coming up where they want all members of the opposition, the leaders of the opposition, to come to agree on to a program, and if possible, also pick a candidate. You have the phone line. If you have any question for Woaka, this is a time that you can call. When you look at the picture I've put on the board there, this is the elections in Kasama. The opposition got 56%. The ruling party got 44%, but the ruling party was declared winner. You're also familiar with the election of President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa, who you helped as a special advisor for politics, who won with a narrow margin of 29%, but the opposition had scored 71%. But the one who made it to be leader of our country was Levi Mwanawasa, because at the time we didn't have 50+1. It was a simple majority. But you had a minority president where 70% of the country didn't vote for him. We have a candidate in Kasama who's been elected as MP, but 55% of the voters rejected him. Does this help with the imperative unity of the opposition? What do you interpret with these issues?
Imperative that, you see, in other words, we are trying to change from a situation which is not ideal and conducive and supportive of the change we want. So basically, this is one of the imperative why those who really want change should consider seriously uniting with others who want real change. But of course, those who really want themselves to be president as the number one priority, and if they are not president, they don't care if we lose, will not come along. But those who really believe that change is even more important than who is president, than if they are president, these are the people with the mentality we are banking on in building a future which is in the interest of the nation as a whole. The election, even in Chawama, even in Kasama, really there's another way of reading them. I was surprised of how much celebration was made over Chawama. But the conditions that existed for the Chawama election are the same condition that existed for Kasama. So under this present condition, yes, perchance you can win, but most likely you will lose. But your chances of winning are increased by the degree to which you are united. And this is basically the imperative of unity for that. Let me say that even not only in 2001, all the elections, in other words, the 1962 election, or was it 63, that led to the coalition government, gave us the same arithmetic, where the African nationalist parties had a majority of seats, more than the European-dominated United Federal Party. They had a chance after the election to do what they should have done before the election. After independence, those chances are not going to be given. The illusion that it's automatic, that with the 50+1 provision, that yes, the ruling party may win but fail to get 51%, then you assume that automatically all the opposition votes will be gathered together, could easily be unrealistic. The record in Africa is that where there has been a rerun, it is rare for all the opposition parties to agree to vote against the ruling party. And the same reason why they did not unite before the election will still exist after the election. And the reason may have to do with their own prioritization of personal interests. In other words, if you'd failed to unite before the election because you think that your presidential candidature is top priority relative to increasing the chances of the ruling party being defeated, then even after the election, because once you've lost, you may even have lost interest on who is president. So it's a very dicey thing to bank on. So the 50+1 provision should not be seen as a guarantee that in the second round, the government that is refusing change will be defeated.
Okay. So the people grouped together and voted for the opposition may not necessarily repeat the vote to the opposition. The parameters are totally different.
Even the interest in the election, once your chances to be president, a presidency which was so important to you that you even declined to unite with others who think like you, I don't see how automatic it would be that after the election, suddenly you become more nationalists and less personal. Well, there is a chance of that, but it's just a chance which may exist or not exist.
On your conference, what are the main agenda items? What will your delegates be discussing?
We have had meetings in the last couple of weeks. The last set of meetings is this week. That's when the program will be finalized. But in general, so far the ideas that have been discussed, subject to being finalized in the final plan, is that there will be discussions. We will have keynote speakers on the political and economic background and on the and then we'll give a chance for subjects related to what is being considered by the group as key pillars of a minimum program that is required to reset Zambian. Then in those we will have a presentation followed by panel discussions by the various political leaders. This will give them an opportunity to showcase their ideas, to showcase how sharp they are, to showcase their visions, and there will be several topics like that. Then that will end up with an elective process.
Thank you, Boaka. Let me see if we have some callers on the line. Just hold on. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Mrs. Chongwe, I'll call you later.
Hello. Oh, you are not calling to the program.
I was just trying to contact you. Sorry.
Oh my God. Thank you very much. Yeah, for those that wish to contact me, please use our number. This number is just for the program. Sorry, Boaka. So you explaining. Let me just see if we can take another caller. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Mwamba. My name is Uncle Jay.
Uncle Jay, thank you for calling. Make your contributions.
Thank you so much. Indeed, the statesman has spoken hope, to the Zambian people. And I pray that, these, our leaders, are listening and are going to respond, to the roadmap that has been set by the Council of Elders. I know, we've seen a lot of writings in the, social media, of course, coming from the government, discrediting the, the Council of Elders. It's so sad that Zambia has reached a point where we no longer have respect and hold in high esteem people that have always shaped, the democratic, space for Zambia for the longest time. We want to reduce them, to people that may not have an impact when in the actual sense they do. And this roadmap, we pray that it goes through. We are fatigued as Zambians. We want to have progress. We are held hostage as things stand. And our hope really cannot be more than this, to see the elders, the statesmen and women of our country come together and shape the way forward. I love it when he says we are not just looking to change a political party or a person. Indeed, in Zambia, there must be a shift. We should have a policy that we need to follow, not individuals. We have all these divisions, hate, tribalism, because politics have been reduced to an individual. If I love this person, I'm willing to insult this person in order to support this person. I'm grateful that this is the route that has been taken, and we need to reshape the direction of our country. And I pray that all the opposition leaders heed. Those that won't heed, it's fine. Let's leave them out of the way. They will not be counted. Before time, they will have disappeared from the political scene. But those that love the country and are willing, to save the nation and reset Zambia to where it's supposed to be economically, politically, in terms of democracy, we pray that they indeed respond to this statesmen and women of our country, people that we hold in high esteem. As Zambians, we are really looking up to you. Your wisdom is indeed appreciated. I thank you, and I pray that, this month we indeed come up with a person that will stand as a president to challenge the current regime so that we can make progress as a country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let me take some more calls. I noticed while you were calling, there were others that were calling in the background. Let's see if we can take some more calls. If you have a question for Woaka about opposition unity, please call. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Iyo nawomba mulishani.
Awe kutotera bamwamba tulive wino kuchingola kono.
Endita, yo ikusheni natukwata wakalamba waaka pano.
Mkwai no kumfika nayo mfika mashwine fyo balelo ndolola abafyashi basinya citizen. Chilelanga no kulanga chachi ne kanshukunu moko twafumine twalikwete nkalakatimba. Abafyashi abatulengeri okwe batu buntungo bwe muri kino cyaro cyasu cya Zambia. Mweba fyashi tatukwete amashuwa yenge akutira twingalanda cyakutotera bigoze fyo mulelo ndolola. Bamwambana mukwate shuko lya kutya leta abafyashi abakwe batu baisalo ndolola. Ifide umfika. Nokumva wa politician no tukwete pali lero abalekula. Nokutambo kumva kwe bati kanchachirenga chakwe bati muchalo mwapone nkala. Mufire mwabombera pamo. Ngamwalolesha sana amashwina ngo amashuwa mulebe pushanesho balelo ndora nenchoyo bachiri bale bomba ile umvuiko kwe bati kanchachine nabakwata omutima wacharo cha Zambia. Mweba vyashi tuchiri ture mitotera nomba kushe. Namukwate subiro kuli abantu ba politician mukwete abachaiche irelo. Bantu alati ataba chaiche. Ushana mukwata kwe subiro muri bamubo mulela ndana bena muri amashuwe mwemishe. Abale umfuiko kwe bati kuti baba wiringi okumfuisho muri balondorero kutira ikaleni pamo. Nangula kuliko bamo umfuiko kwe bati kwena abana ngutu ayafika kona ngutulande tabale umfuiko kutira benga fuaisho kubika kwikala pamo ngebe mulondorero kwaliko kutamba kuli bayo ni pitu aisa kona kuli bayo mumdi nesho muri bomba chile umfuika nomba muri ababo tukwete palilelo ushana tukwata kwesubiro ya kutira muri rimwa tambiro kubakomanya twalakwata kwesubiro ya kuisa umfo kutira awe balabantu twakumenye babiri batatu 4 nabawikishanya pamo tabale fwa vyati awo kanonebo monale kero munango kutira katutungirire omunenso pakuta tukese ta install democracy ngesho twa imwa itambire usheri isubiro ngana muri kwata tinante mokwe bati mwatulondolera kubakuta twa umfwa ito tule umfwa bamwamba esale mipalo ko muri wandereza akatukumanya tukabana imwe esa pale.
Thank you very much. Is asking if you have faith in the people that you have met, and in your view, if these people will can come together and, pick one of them as candidate. For those that I missed the call, quickly call so that we allow Boaka to answer questions in a consolidated manner. Let me just take two or more calls so that you can group them together. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Useot. Could I just say good evening, Dr. Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika?
Thank you.
If I don't begin by the history that I gathered about Dr. Mbikusita Lewanika, I would be failing in my submission. In 1990, I was based in Mongo at a time when the movement for multi-party democracy was born. And for every Zambian that lived then and are still there, should actually take off their hearts to that old veteran politician that you are interviewing this evening. It was a hard time for Dr. Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika in Barosaland, Mongo, Western Province, where Dr. Kaunda ordered the also the president that Dr. Mbikusita Lewanika Derek Chitala and Mr. Patrick Katioka should not be accommodated in those either at Yambai or Nguru Hotel or Samanawina Hotel. We were young and very active, and we learned a lot of things from those three gentlemen. And I'm every reason to be happy to see him stand up and speak for the voiceless. It is prudent that if a country doesn't have people that reason, like the way the Prince and his friend Derek Chitala are doing, you end up with a shell of a country. But who is ready to have those kind of differences? We have got elders. At the time when I went to school, fortunately I went to Kenneth Kaunda Secondary School in Chinsali, Lua. Politics were a common feature in schools. And when I joined Indeco, at some point I worked in Luapra province as a young man. Because of the political influence, we were integrated into UNIP, and I became Kashikishu youth chairman. In Kashikishi, and when I went to Mongo, I was transferred from Ndola to Mongo. I met the likes of Unukai Mbwasipalo. May his soul rest in peace. Those are the kind of politicians that Zambia needs. If the likes of Woaka, Derek Chitala, Patrick Katioka did not come together, a lot of Zambians indeed would have died at the hands of UNIP. If UNIP had actually won those elections. Because Kaunda had promised Vakatolika, Mukadina Pali Corona. You know? So every Zambian that is actually tuning into your program should actually think twice. When you have got people who are thinking, they are simply trying to avoid a crisis. There are a lot of countries facing crisis today in the world.
We have got Trump in America who can do anything because nobody knows if it's normal or not. And Zambians of Prince Akashambatwa Mbikusita Lewanika should be held in the highest esteem in Zambia for coming out and saying, no, this is wrong. This is not the way you rule the country. This is not the way we want to be ruled. We want our free Zambian. We want to be a free Zambian.
Thank you, my brother. Let me take the last call. Thank you. Thank you. Let me.
Now, I'm so proud of the Rose people. I was a young man. They accommodated me, and had developed a feeling of getting married to a Rose woman. A thing that was propagated that no, Roses don't like members. No, when you do this, when you do, look, the world has moved.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. I also worked.
It is only important.
Sorry, let me just take the last two calls so that we can allow Boaka. We can allow Boaka to answer the questions. Okay. Let me just take the last two questions. Please go, please go. It kept on cutting. Yeah. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello,
Mkwai, please make your contribution.
Thank you so much, Mamamba. Nava pusha va Lewanika. Ero chapto tera sana kuli mwa Mamamba. Pakutuletera va Lewanika. Aba pita mupindu aba ishiwe fintu. Ichalo cha Zambia kulingana fenefyo tulewe mfua. Nachiluwe ishila. Nachiluwa sana ishila. So chilefua ikwa. Kweba tukaba map inga chitungula emkwaye. So when mundunda walwala waya kuli ba doctor the first thing bafwa yukushiba ni kuchita ma tests kweba tigeshime uweli wafuma kwisa kulingana nefya chibalanda ba Lewanika. From there bachita analyze ero namba bikusha kuli uwele Emunderosha kutira ababonse umubaleleka kutira baba bikapamo bafuile babwerera kumano kwebati bushe kanshi okutwafuma kwisa nako kutufikire ero nekirengere ukwebati tube mu madanda uno ayoti kinshi ngachakwebati bayishiba okutwafuma no performance efficient eshi kwikatana bala ikatana nombanga chakwe bati ababenye abantu bale yakulya batimiti mashabo bashikonke lishibera gasokwe bati yo kuyafye nishitapanya chino kwaitala chitika pantu nakusangu kwe bati bonse nabakwata ma interest abadde ine palwandi ululu ine palwandi ekintu kimwe ekishinga wana yo so bafuire kachita kuteranganshi kukwata bachikulire echo ningala nakubata bale wanika chambe bati tata mwe bafyashi mwikwata omutima uwa kusakamana na umwingo mfa abantu bengala myeko kwebati nishimule chitirefuni imwe muli tungulu shimule tupera mano namfemme yandafye umutu wafyali kwa twali kwata abafyashi nga bamono kwebati abana banti ifinta siribwino balagula abana babo babika pamo mweba necho mulekire chichi patri modi mutala lubeshira kanshi ichalo chesu na chulubeshira so tata bale wanika chakutoteranganshi ekona perera papenyama chuyanji.
Thank you very much. She's saying do not be discouraged. You receive negative reports, but do not be discouraged. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contributions. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'll choose to be anonymous.
Anonymous, switch off the other device.
The best exercise. I would like to make a contribution. But before that, I just want to, continue thanking you for the program that you have relentlessly continued to beam. And then also, thanking Prince Akashambatwa for stepping in on getting the opposition to unite. I just wanted to, say that, from memory, most of the opposition leaders have appeared on this podcast where you have invited them, some of them more than once, and they've all willingly, told the public that have been watching and, contributing that they are ready to work together. And it would have been just a matter of time for them to meet and choose one leader who would then stand as an opposition leader. Clearly, as we watch and look at what's happening on the ground, it's not happening. People are coming together and all they are doing is forming their own, alliances, forming new parties and, just, getting people to join them, which is clearly just dividing the opposition. So I think that the question that I have for Woman Prince Akashambatwa is it possible for them to just concentrate on those leaders, the opposition leaders that are genuinely coming forward truthfully to defend Zambia? Because even as we sit as citizenry, we can see who are genuinely wanting to stand for the country and, help the situation of what's going on now. And we can see those that, are just selfishly wanting to be themselves as president and just replace the man that is there. I think that if they can see that, let's not waste time. There isn't much time. Let's not waste time with those people who we can see are even making statements, and all of us have heard where they are saying that, they come from your program, they say that they are willing, they go the next day and they say, different things. These two elections that we've had for mayoral in Kasama and the one in Chawama has clearly shown us who it is that we should be looking at that will be one of those that will want to work as a team. So team players are the ones that we should be looking at so that we can have a team that comes together to choose a leader. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got the last caller. Bamunkonge, please be brief. You are the last caller before I bring Boaka.
Okay, the question is
Bamunkonge na imona number. Webshen ya wakalamba.
Question fensha te contribute ndey kushako baaka since wena muri mu banyanga ma elders yakubika ma leaders panshi ukubebo kwebati pali ino istatufikire government ile fwaitwa ya incorporate government ya kwebati ba leader batungura la kifine batrando kwebati unity government nomba within our leaders bambi kweba kunse na tumono kweba bambi ama leaders bali willing okutungururwa nokubombera chapamwe balelolera process ya my orders nomba bambi ba leader na tubamono kweba bale mukuyita campaign beka no bika unit pantanji nomba mashi winshi mwinga kwato kosere chako barama leaders abalelolera abapere imwe mukinji barona barabambi balita ture mono kwe bashitabalero tabale konka program yenu chefinshi mwinga tukosere chako fwe karacharo.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Boak, I would like to bring you on. I think you've heard the questions. They're all worried about the opposition and that probably you should focus on those that are willing. There'll be many that are determined to be on the ballot despite the need and the call for them to be united. There's also this feeling that the opposition leaders know about the issues of unity, but they are using it again to further fragment the opposition. Yet they are speaking unity, but their actions are fragmenting the opposition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Natotel Asana. I think the speakers have spoken, and I totally agree with them that we are looking for a team-spirited collective leadership. We are looking forward to a government of national unity. We are looking forward to a government working together, regardless, with people willing to be part of that team, even if they are not the chosen presidential or vice presidential candidate. A word of encouragement is that during the process of planning this conference, those leaders of political parties who've been participating in the planning, at least 8 of them, have pledged that they will stay on the team regardless of whether they are chosen as the presidential or vice presidential candidate. That is very, very encouraging, and they are working in that direction. The narrative we have heard of how people have made statements on your platform showing willingness to cooperate and then acted otherwise, this is also to some extent the experience we have shared. In fact, what has delayed the process is waiting for those who are promising that they believe in what we are doing, they are coming along, and when we saw that they are not coming, we've started the train. But even as the train is started, we are reaching out. There's nobody who find themselves absent because they have not been invited. Those who shall be absent to this conference, the country must know, and they must know, that they are absent on their own decision. That is their choice. But it's a choice we will regret, because we regret, but it's not going to stop us going forward. So yes, we are determined to go forward with those who are willing. In fact, I would like to apologize to the political leaders of parties who've been willing all along and who've been waiting patiently for others to come along as they've promised they'll come along. And so the conference is set. Within the next 2 weeks, there will be that national conference. It needs the support of the people. I also like to thank the lady who said that we should concentrate on those who are willing. And that, I think, we have no choice but to do that. A word of warning is that some of the leaders who are very selfish, self-centered, are also the richest, the loudest, the best known. And the country must be able to have faith that as long as it is team leadership, they will complement each other. Let's not look for a rich man who will save us. I think we have tried that. Let's not look for one individual leader who will save us. Let's look for a team of leaders, and let's be part of that team. Because it has also been said that we are looking for an individual. No, we are not. We are looking for a team. And we are looking for a team in which whoever is the presidential candidate or vice president will be a member of this team, treating others and being treated as others, as a fellow leader, as the first among equals, as a team player, in the spirit of our fathers who founded the political movement on the slogan that leadership through team spirit. That's what we need to inculcate in ourselves, and have faith that those who are willing to come together, they are the holders of the key to our salvation. Those who want to stand alone, whether they are rich, whether they are popular, whether they are best known, are not part of the solution. Because if you win alone, you rule alone. But if you win together with others, you rule together with the others. The programs that we have not solved for many years need a collective effort themselves. So our hope is that the slate of leaders, the ticket we have, is not made up of one or two people, the president and vice president. It is a slate that includes those who play critical role in the executive, in the cabinet, and in the other areas of the governance, in order to focus and contribute in addressing the issues that have dogged us for so long. None of them cannot be solved within a year or two. None of them. Even if we gave ourselves a full year to come up with a constitution,
Boaka, let me indulge you with this call from your brother, Dr. David Gordon Kajila. Let's just hear from him. Doc, please make your contribution or ask Boaka your question.
Thanks, Ambassador. How are you doing? And thanks for this opportunity. Boaka, always a pleasure hearing your voice and you imparting the wisdom that God has given you over the years. I did make a comment earlier on the comment section that I wish Boaka had an opportunity to be the president of Zambia at some point in our history. Maybe things would be different. Now, coming to the point that I want to raise, while I agree that the elders are on the right track in trying to unify the opposition, the problem is that I see here, if we had to learn in history, 1991 was very different from the current situation. 1991, the whole country, Zambia, could clearly see that there's need for a change in direction from one-party state to multi-party. So, in other words, there was a selling point. There was a common ground that, and it was based on a philosophical stand, based on a policy stand, based on a directional stand for the country. And that is part of the reason yourself and Derek and others formed MMD, and the country really resonated very well with the message. Contrasting it to today, there are similarities, but there are also differences. And I think the difference is that current political dispensation in Zambia is centered around personalities rather than on ideology or policy differences. And I think the starting point should be that, not the really, and I think I would suggest you remove the term opposition leaders, because by identifying as opposition, all you are suggesting is that you're opposed to one president or one leader and you want to replace him. Rather than replacing the person, we need to replace the system. I think Boaka did mention, and I was glad that he did mention, that there are fundamental issues that the elders have identified which are suggesting that the country is headed in the wrong direction. And that if we gave UPND another 5 years to consolidate what they have already shown, then the country will end up being in a very, very tough situation. And so what should be the common ground is to formulate common policy first, bring people together and call it the coalition of the willing, like borrowing from what the EU are doing, coalition of the willing. And these people should have one fundamental or a set of policies that they want to see different from what is pertaining right now. If it's a matter of constitutional changes that needs to be placed, for example, taking away power from the presidency and transferring more power to institutions, making them more independent, exactly the way the president of Ghana suggested the other day. But putting in place a legal framework that would enable Zambia to be able to do that. Right now, it all depends on the willingness of an individual once they are put in power to either implement or not. We need a situation where that person who is elected is obligated morally and even maybe by way of a binding agreement to each other. So I'd like Voaka to just comment on that. How do you bring all these different leaders who are pretty egoistic in their views? They are eyeing that presidency because they know it's juicy. How can we bring them together, the genuine people, to have a common policy? Because Socialist Party and the CF may have completely different policies, and that coalition will be meaningless. Thank you.
That's the trouble. You allow one, you have to allow the others. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from before we revert to Voaka.
Hello?
Yes. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions. Bamkuka from England, make your contribution quickly.
MMD. Am aspiring candidates in Awabengi party. They had to take somebody from outside from the trade union to come and lead. Tibatulondolwela kupano ifyo chali pakwe bati bese bafike pali bachiluba. Bantu ababe n'abantu abengi abo mulefu okuleta pamo. Bantu bonse abakweta amapati zero bonse balefu ayoku bakateka.
Thank you. Lessons from Dr. Chiluba. Voaka, I have a set of loyal followers.
Well,
I'm conflicted.
I think
this is Father Oscar Mwansa Pombo from Italy. Father, quickly make your question before we revert to Voaka.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Mwamba. Thank you very much. Baraka, thank you so much. I have great esteem of you and great respect for you. You're one of those really honorable Zambian people who we look forward to for ideas and also for consultations, because you have a history. Now, my question is this. I'm asking, this question is directly to you, Akashambatwa, as one of the elders and one of the people who have really helped in the development of this country. My question is this. What should I'm not going to say the opposition, what should the Zambian people say or ask for from the government that seems not to be respecting the Constitution and the rule of law? I would like to, I don't want to make a mistake.
Thank you very much. That was truly now our last caller. No opening of phones. Family, I regret. Let's allow Voaka to answer. Then he says his last words, but he's gotten all the questions. Voaka, please take up the floor.
Thank you very much, contributors. Starting with the last question and the last comments, I also agree that this term opposition probably misleads us, because, as I've said, we have always to ask people, what are they really opposed to? And also ask them not to just tell us what they are opposed for, but what they are for. And clearly, what we need to come together is not in opposition to anybody. There's always a question, how do you know that a program is nationalist? You know a program is nationalist if when it's achieved, everybody wins. There is no losers. So that the program to return the country to multi-party democracy or the program to bring independence were nationalists, because once we got independence, all of us got independence. Nobody was left out. Once we returned the country to multi-party democracy, even UNIP members enjoyed the same rights as everybody else. So where we are now, we need another nationalist program. This time a nationalist program that resets our country in terms of governance, in terms of the economic system. And yes, it's important that this unity is not just for the sake of unity. It's for the sake of uniting, campaigning together, governing together to fulfill an agenda. Yes, it's a good observation that in the struggle for independence, it was obvious to everybody that the agenda was independence and everybody bought into that. In the struggle to return to multi-party, again, there was an agenda at the forefront. Someone was asking, that was insinuating that Mr. Chiluba came from outside. No, it didn't come from outside. We first agreed on the agenda, then agreed on forming a team that will campaign for our agenda. Even by the time we were selecting leaders, it was actually end of February 1991. But we went to Garden in July 1990. So that what came first was the team. What came after that was a resolve that we as a team will campaign for the agenda we have. After the agenda won, that's when we said, now on the basis of the return to multi-party, we can't allow a situation where the party that has not believed in multi-partyism should be the only party. So we reconstituted ourselves for pragmatical reasons as a party in order to make sure that the election that takes place will be multi-party. That is when we now shifted from an interim national committee to the National Executive Committee, full-fledged, which was then elected. There were 4 candidates for the presidency, and Mr. Chiluba won. I must say that the one who suggested, because we thought that Mr. Chiluba the same issue we were discussing, Emmanuel, about 50 plus 1. I didn't suggest 50 plus 1, I suggested 50%. And we thought that, well, if Mr. Chiluba fails to get 50%, then there will be a second run. Then one of the other 3 candidates would then contest and maybe defeat Mr. Chiluba. Instead, he got 64%. But after he got his 64%, the team remained together to campaign together and to form government together. And this is what was required. That spirit that even though Arthur Winner, who was our chairman, up to the point when the struggle to change the constitution succeeded, up to the point when the constitution was changed, he was defeated, but he remained part of the team. And this is what we are asking for our new generation of leaders, that even if it's not you who is chosen, even if the one who is chosen is not your preferred candidate, remain part of the team. And so that we are fighting for that program. And that is what happened. And that's part of the lessons that we need to inculcate. Fortunately, as I've said, most of the leaders we are working with have already pledged that they will remain on the team regardless of whether they are chosen or not. So encouragement in that stand. And the other question was, what was the other question?
I'd like to add among the questions, I can see it persistent, that Boaka, some people may not know the other members of the Council of Leaders. I know some are willing to be on record, others are not willing to be on record. Who are those that are willing to be on record that you can mention?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, because part of our problem is really, I think all of us in this country know that the regime of intimidation, suppression, and the fear, so many people are acting out of fear. So we have on the Council of Elders, even religious leaders, beg to mention their name. And yet they are contributing tremendously in reaching out to our political leaders, advising them, and they're working hard. And there are some traditional leaders. Fortunately, me, I'm a former traditional leader, so I can come out in the open. Again, there is intimidation against our traditional authorities. We do have senior chiefs who are part of the Council of Elders. We do have bishops who are part of the Council of Elders. We do have former judges, not just former Chief Justice Lombe Chiwesakunda, but others who are there. We do have former political leaders who are there. I mentioned Judge Chiwesakunda because he's already in the open. There is myself. There is... No, I think the environment, in fact, I'm just coming up. I said there's a bishop who doesn't want to be mentioned and so on. So I won't mention that. But part of the agenda of the national conference is that the Council of Elders, after the conference, should be elected by the council, not elected like a popular election, but we think that the participants, the partners in this cross-party lines should have, the participating parties should have a say, maybe nominate some people to be in the Council of Elders. It is, some people have said that, have even questioned the name itself. We didn't give it to ourselves. We found ourselves being called that. We have not objected. And as I said, if we are not about the name, but people are contributing as much as our present environment is allowing them to. There are some people like me who are already, our necks have been on the chopping block.
In fact, Boaka, people don't realize how brave you are to take this process. You are Council of Elders. You are not interested in personal benefit. All you want is that the state of our country requires redemption by all. Even those that are in government, they should look at a non-partisan program, a nationalistic program. And your Council of Elders, as you've confirmed, they've been threatened. That is to the extent to which toxic our politics have become. You are also subjected to, slanderous articles just to discourage the work that you are doing. So I'm grateful that you still remain focused and standing, and you are not swayed and dissuaded by these attacks and intimidation. Just continue.
By the way, I was invited to join them, so I found out I was to join them, and I'm really just playing the role of being the face that can be bashed. I even feel so sorry that some of the honorable have been bashed in the press for simply showing concern, a request from some of our political leaders said that left to themselves, they can't see themselves the presidential candidate, and they can't see themselves alone winning the election. So it is those who've been requested have come forward. And there is no finite number for membership. It's just the contribution that is welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Walker, Dr. David Kajila also, I think, talked about the sense of unity that is required to achieve what we need to achieve for 2026, and that the opposition must rise above personal interest and personal affiliation. I think that's what you've been trying to foster.
Focus on the program.
Yes.
Focus on defining the program. I agree with him 100%. And that is the center, that people must unite for a program and unite in a commitment to seriously address this program conclusively. There are so many things which are not impossible, but which have dogged the country for more than 62 years, which can be finished off even within a year or two, if we are serious and focused, and if we are together.
I don't know what your last words will be. For me, I would just like to join you in calling all the leaders in the opposition, I think, to turn up. If they have concerns around your formation, it's better to ask inside. If they are not happy with the rules, it's better to amend the rules. If they are suspicious of the process, it's better to turn up and resolve the issues than stay away and staying away. I am not one that believe in boycotts. So we continue to pray with you, continue to encourage all the leaders to be there on the day for the conference. And if there are concerns around, like I'm saying, the formation, they should resolve them from the inside so that you achieve the two things you wish to achieve. One, adopt a national program. The new government, how long should it take them to come up with a brand new constitution? The issue of a leader, who will we pick? Will the team remain intact? Can they put down their personal ambition if it is not them? And like you have said, I've hosted nearly every leader here. They pledged that if they are not chosen, they will support whoever is chosen. Of course, we have not come to that, and all we have seen is heightened campaign by all of them to individually participate in the 2026 elections. So maybe offer your last words.
Keep hope. I am very hopeful. I'm very confident that we shall overcome.
Indeed, we shall overcome. No, I look forward to your program.
Not someday, but this year.
No, comrade, you are a warrior for this country that you are. Now, I'd like to thank Woaka for finding time. He's been busy on many media programs to support this idea of the united front of people. Maybe we shouldn't call it opposition front. He says even those people in government that are willing to support a national program are welcome. And to you, leaders in the opposition, I think you turn up at the conference. If you have suspicions, issues, and concerns, bring them, engage work between now and the conference so that we see the opposition turn up in large numbers. And I'm glad that the initiative by Woaka involves leaders in traditional authorities, former politicians, former judges, former senior members, and the church. So not everyone would like to put themselves on the front line and be attacked on social media the way we can weather the attacks. The seniors may not like that, to soil their name late in the day, but I think they've embarked on a noble program that they should be supported. Woaka, God bless you and God bless your hand. Thank you very much.
We want change! We want change! We want change! We want change! We want a change!
The sound magician. Wi-Fi on the beat, boy.
Twakupele voting ngatawa bomba twakupele voting ngatawa bomba wali
mukesa tupangira kwemisebo wali mipele ati mukesa tupangira kwemisebo nimwewo mwatire mukesa tukulira nechipatala ifwe nimwewo mwatire mukesa tukulira na masukulu kuno ukutula potwagisalira ifwe monitula baona lebo imisebwala yajonaika ichipatala takwaba kuno abana besu basambirira mufimuti vyamango bana mayo mapapira mungande chipatala takwaba kuno imisepira chose mbalofwa bapepa vyebange fama lelilo mufunda tawafika nembuto tashafika ukutula potwamisalira ifwe monitula baona lebo nomba lelo mwabwela imwe mulefa yatumivotere tapakupele votinga tawabombae tapakupele votinga tawabombae tawalimone votinga tawabombae tawalimone votinga tawabombae patuno mwaka kuya bebele twanakanемwe mwachiramo bufi kuya bebele takwawelele numa kuya bebele mwachiramo bufi uno mwaka
kwenyu ndemwe chabe mabanja ona njala mkomo ndalama zonse mutumbalano masukwa kuchuluka pa mutupatu. Time is up kwenyu not enough. Time is up for your lies and bluff. Time is up kwenyu not enough. Time is up for your lies and bluff. Kanizanu ndizo panda pindu anakulira mise umwatu ikufuna chilengede chazo pano osati mapoke tanu opindika ndalama. Listen to the cries, they're louder than your lies. You can't silence the truth. It's time for the youth. Time is up when you is not enough. Time is up for your lies and bluff. Time is up when you is not enough. Time is up for your lies and bluff. We rise, we stand, we fight together for the children, for a better forever. When you kunata palo, we take the rain. Tikonza jiko.
Unveil what power hides and spark national debate, speaking truth to power from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV. We bring you guests that challenge the narrative, unveil what power hides, and spark national debate, speaking truth to power from the grassroots to the highest offices. EMV.